Good afternoon everyone and welcome to WildSafari Live here in the wonderful Nkuhuma and Arathusa game reserves in the world famous Sabi Sands in South Africa. My name's Hayden Turner. I've got VM here on camera with me, Nikki and Tara in final control, and Pete's out there somewhere looking for another surprise for us. It's great to be with you. If you're a first time participant on the back of our vehicle today, welcome aboard. Fantastic to have you. And if you're a regular participant, welcome back. Great to have you along always. If you've got any questions for us, it's great to know right from the onset. You can tweet us at #SafariLive. Or you can email this morning. Pete and I and Alex heard them last night vocalising at about 10 o'clock, and some of the Zoomies and people on Facebook, the Nkuhuma junkies, loads of different people, wonderful people, all within this big family of WildSafari Live, let us know. Lots of tweets as well. So thank you so much, guys. It's really great to have you, and you're all really focused on what we're doing. It's great. We followed it up this morning, and then we came across them right on the road. Scotty saw some ears flick out of the corner of his eye, and sure enough, it was a very interesting location. There was leopard tracks, there was hyena tracks, and there was also lion tracks. So Steph and Scotty were still trying to figure out what happened there. We tracked them, or we followed them, sorry, through this vegetation. They ended up just down a little bit further. We're going to go in there now and have a bit of a look-see. It's 31 degrees Celsius, which is about 87 Fahrenheit, so it's a bit warm. They'll probably still be there. A little bit of a scratchy way in, but just bear with us. Just try and make sure we don't take out too many parts of our vehicle and some of these incredibly sharp thorns. There's not much other way to do this, unfortunately, but we do have to be very careful, of the vegetation and our vehicle, to make sure we don't, and my cameraman as well, need to make sure he stays alive, and I don't wipe him out with a tree branch. Many of these branches that we go past, folks, you must know that they sound it sounds a lot worse than it actually is, particularly when it comes to scratching down the sides of the vehicle. So I just have to renegotiate this so I don't knock that poor little tree over. And we will get in there at some point. But that's the beauty of these magical vehicles. These short wheelbases can get in. You're right there, buddy? Yep. These short wheelbases can get in nearly anywhere. Now, I can't remember where, did we go through there, mate? Is there a tyre track there? Do you think so? Okay. Liam's got a little bit more elevation there so he can see, which is great. We'll just squeeze through this little bit just here. Now they're just down there, just a little bit further on. And we're going to just try and follow. I can see my tyre tracks here through the grass. Just going to try and figure out what that location was. So if you do see anything,
well, good afternoon everyone, and from lions to buffalo, it's guys, sure you enjoyed starting with Hayden there with the lions, but it seems there's a little bit of signal trickery there, and that's sometimes the case. There's a ghost or two that's in the system, but no problem. We've got an exciting afternoon ahead of us. We've been sitting here by this dam behind us, which is Treehouse Dam, just to watch the buffalo, see if anything else comes along. It's quite hot. It's probably in the low 30s centigrade. So let's call it about probably 85, between 85 and 90 Fahrenheit. So a warm afternoon, but pleasant. We were sitting in the shade for a little bit, so a lovely place to sit. And just looking forward to the afternoon. My name is Pieter Pretorius. I'll be showing you around. Lovely to have you as my guest on the vehicle. Brian behind the camera. Many of you know Brian for a while already. And I think that's about it for now, really. Not too much to say. I'm hoping to fight Nkuhuma. that young male leopard, we've been looking for him since yesterday. I haven't seen him since. We saw his brother Q briefly yesterday. He could be somewhere in the Milwaukee area as well. And I think I've said about 10 times, so I think it's time that I start driving. Let's go look around. Guys, remember, this is a live drive. Anything can happen at any moment. I don't know what's going to happen. Not, you know, the same as you. This is just an adventure for me as well. It's nice to have a conversation. You can ask questions or just leave comments. If there's something you enjoy or something you see that you want to mention, feel free to send it in. If you want to tweet, hashtag Safari Live, or you can send questions to questions@wildearth.tv. Please feel free to do so, or otherwise also just free.
Video, correct? Okay, folks. Well, we had a little drop out there. Apologies. We had to jump over to Pete. We just went through a little glitch there, and beautiful lines. 7 of them. The Nkuhuma. Yeah. So his mane's not really fully formed yet and won't happen until about 4 to 5 years of age in full sort of 5 years and magnificence. And that mane is there for many reasons, to make the animal look much more bored. Go undercover a little bit more than the males do. But males will, you know, if you've got these coalitions, these big coalitions of 2 or 3 males, they'll start to take on much bigger prey, you know, the big male buffalo, and as I said, even a bull giraffe. But they would probably be lying down, a bull giraffe, and they'd get a surprise from a big pride. But I think they did feed a few days ago, so they're not super hungry, but again, opportunity arises, they'll do it. Just behind that vegetation. Now the reason, folks, I'm not going any closer, or I'm not trying to get into a different position, the first one is because I don't want to make them feel uneasy. They're so content, so happy, so relaxed. We have no desire to get any closer and disturb them in that blissful state. And the other reason is that we don't actually have another vantage point better than this. So I think we're just going to stay put for the minute. It's a great pleasure to be sitting here in the middle of the African bush with these beautiful creatures, the Nkuhuma pride, and they're just chilling. Most people would probably know that the pride consists of normally related females. Sometimes a nomadic female will be recruited if numbers are low. I think I mentioned it yesterday that the numbers of females or the size of the pride really does depend on food availability, and if there's not enough food, this is a sort of quite a sort of straight way to talk about it. Excess females will be dispersed, but if the numbers food is really available and the numbers aren't down, the pride may take in some of these occasional nomadic females. It's very, very sort of quite an organic sort of thing. Lots of different politics going on with territories and things like that as well. So it's quite complex, but at the moment it doesn't look very complex there. They look like they're just very social and having a nice chill. Hi Lisa. Lisa's given us a question on email. Great to have you on board with us today. And your question is, what is the biggest pride I've ever been with? I sat with a pride in Uganda in Queen Elizabeth National Park once that was about 17 strong. That was probably the biggest one I've ever sat with. There's been many a bigger pride than that. Sometimes what happens, Lisa, is you'll start to get these coalitions of males, which we touched on earlier. Now, the coalition of male situation is a very interesting one. It allows the animals to monopolize the whole reproductive process. They've got great power. They've got a really, really strong force behind them. So the advantages are really all about numbers and that protection. In an area like this, coalitions do occur quite regularly, and this male could be easily kicked out and have to go off and be a loner for a little while and maybe find another pride or another female. But they definitely have to watch themselves, because there's a lot of big coalitions around. We did see a coalition of 5 males here, were potentially brothers, which we're pretty sure they were, and they were a force to be reckoned with. So if they stay as 5, which is normal, which is a little bit above average of the bigger coalitions, they get up to 4 regularly, but 5 is quite extraordinary. And they sometimes get bigger. It becomes a little bit like gang warfare. It's just one, and then again, one would think that that's a great advantage. The bigger the gang, the stronger. But that can cause also a lot of unrest in the pride, and can actually work against the pride's success, because there's just so much instability in the pride. Very, very complex. So to answer your question, Lisa, 17 is the biggest I've ever been. And just an added note, they were tree climbing lions as well, which was extraordinary to see them up in beautiful ficus trees on the Queen Elizabeth National Park boundary, hanging in trees to get away from biting flies and get a bit of a breeze. But thank you very much, Lisa, for joining us, and a great question. Thank you. Katrina, welcome aboard. Katrina's tweeted us, and thanks for coming along today, Katrina. You've picked a fantastic day to be with us. If you're always with us, brilliant. If it's a first time, again, welcome aboard. We've definitely got a lovely situation sitting here with these lines. And your question, Katrina, is if there was a line in the tree, would these lines be able to get it down? Well, I suppose the answer to that is how high. Lions are very ungainly climbers. They can climb. They're nowhere near as elegant as a leopard, that's for sure. They don't haul their kills up trees and don't have that advantage. Their sheer bulk doesn't make them fantastic climbers. They get up to a certain spot on a tree. It's quite amusing to watch. Coming down is not the most elegant of affairs, that's for sure. They do have a tendency to stumble down, sometimes fall out of the tree. But a lot of the time, leopards will haul their kill so high up in a tree that a lion just has no chance, and they just move on. They might sort of sit around for a while and try and get some bits that drop out, but then again, hyenas also do that. But to answer your question, would they take a kill out of a tree? Only if it was low enough for them to get out, and their sheer bulk makes them a little bit ungainly up there. So thanks a lot, Katrina, and hopefully you're going to stick with us all afternoon and again. Great to have you on board. A question from Jimmerlin in Oklahoma. Welcome, Jimmerlin. Your question, if Q or another leopard came up to these lines, what would happen? Well, I think the first instance, Jimmerlin, that leopard wouldn't approach these lines at all. Leopards steer a very wide berth around line. The numbers of these, sheer numbers and power of these line, the leopard would definitely make a hasty retreat. If it was just one lion and the leopard had cubs, she might put up a bit more of a, I don't know, it depends on the age of the lion, it depends on so many things, Jimmerlin, but, you know, ultimately they would completely overpower a leopard. So a leopard would steer a very, very wide berth around them. But a female might protect her cubs if it was a young lion approaching them. So thanks for being on board, Jimmerlin. Just beautiful pictures, just going over. Just lovely to sit, and it's really nice just to observe like the anatomy of the lion and the physiology just really closely and gently like we are. VM's doing some beautiful pictures of them. You can see that individual down there. It's got its back leg up there and its legs open like that, cooling itself. It's a really classic sort of lion position. When they lie on their back, they just lie there and just try and get as much cool air flowing over them as they possibly can. Comfortable. When they do start to go into a deeper sleep, you start to see it fall down, and then they correct it, and then they fall down again. You can see it. There we go. Trent in Fiji, fantastic to have you on board again, Trent. Wonderful, wonderful place you're in as well in the South Pacific. Trent wants to know, and it's a really good question, Trent, why do lions spend so much time? Is it sleeping, or do they not have anything better to do? Is there not enough entertainment around here? No, it's seriously, reason being is they just try and conserve their energy. They sleep anywhere up to 20 hours a day sometimes, depending on food availability, but they can be active any time of the day as well. They're more active sort of in the part of the day, where they'll probably go hunting for a sort of 4 to 5 hours, depending on their success rate. And yeah, they spend a lot of time like this. That's what lions do. They really do. Yeah, in a late afternoon, the sort of cat-like, you know, domestic cat-like behaviours that you see if you've got a cat, facial rubbing and communicating with each other, mothers suckling their cubs, that sort of thing. But generally, it's a bit like this. So if they're really, really hungry, there might be an urge to go and hunt. But again, they can be active at any time of the day, but more likely in the late afternoon, early evening, into the night, and depending on their hunting success, but spending sometimes up to 18 to 20 hours a day doing exactly this. Thanks a lot, Trent. I hope Fiji is beautiful and sunny as always. I just want to give a little shout out to a friend of mine that I know is watching today, Amy, in England. Just to say hi to her. I know these are some of her favourite animals on the planet, and bringing these pictures to you live, Amy, from Nkuhuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands is a great pleasure, mate. So I hope you're enjoying this. Great to have you on board, matey. So, welcome to this beautiful Lime Pride again. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful place to be. And if you've just joined us, it's a great, great place to be, sitting with these lions. You wouldn't know they were here if you just came past. If you were walking, lions can lie invisible in about 30 centimetres or about 12 inches of grass. Flat on their side. You might just see a tail flick up in the air to get flies off them or something like that. Very easy to stumble upon lion in this situation, so always have to have your wits about you, which is the sort of thing that Steph and Scotty always keep an eye out for, highly trained about doing this sort of thing, and really looking forward to getting them crossing to them in the coming days with those live walks. So whilst we're sitting here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, still trying to count them, I think I'm missing one somewhere. Maybe I am. I think it's a good time to cross over to Pete and see what he's up to. Pete's always going around these different roads that he hasn't been down for a while and always coming across something fantastic. So we'll see you just now. I don't think they're going anywhere.
Well, welcome back this side, and we have some elephants, but I'm just trying to find the best way in here. It's a little bit sort of thick bush brush mix here. It's not big trees, it's not small bushes, it's sort of a brush mix, if you know what I mean. I'll have a look at them, and we're not very far from Gari Waterhole, the big waterhole close to where our camp is. So I'm hoping we'll still get them drinking later on. This morning after the game drive heading back, we actually had a beautiful herd of elephants down at the waterhole, and I think we'll get a good view from up here. I'm hoping it's that herd with that fantastic young character, that young elephant that had that very, very entertaining mock charge with us the other day, and then again with Hayden as well. I think it was yesterday. So see, there's more of them. A few flies. Awesome. This is not a bad place to get in. There's a couple of young ones. There's a mature female there. Oh, yeah, we've got one youngster already. Where is he? Look at that one. No, he stopped again. He was going to come give us a little look. Let me try and go a bit forward. So there's three young ones playing. Oh guys, sorry, that was a stick banging on the car there. I'm wondering if that's our little guy. Reminds me of him.
It does look like him.
When they're still very small, it's not that easy to recognize them. One of the best ways to ID elephant are using notches on the ears, little cuts and nicks and holes in the ears. And then when they're very young, the ears are normally still quite perfect around the edges, so it's not that easy to get to know them unless you spend time with them. Let me just see, where shall we go? A little bit forward. Just giving us a look there. That's the mum. Right, this is a good spot. Bit of an opening around the termite mound here. Look at that. You see how she's giving us big ears, high head posture. Just saying, listen, don't you be harassing my youngster. Not that we are. Lovely. Beautiful female that. She really is in a peak. Great condition, big, healthy. I can sort of tell you my plan for the rest of the day. Pretty much going to stick with these elephants. I have a very strong feeling they are heading down towards the water. It might take them an hour or two still. It might just take them the next 20 minutes. It's quite funny. Sometimes they're busy feeding, busy eating, a bit of grass, bit of leaves. And then at some stage the matriarch will just decide, listen, it's time to go. Let's go down to the water. Don't think it's there yet, but I also don't think it's going to take the whole day for them to go drink. So we're going to spend quite a lot of time with them. And then once, what's that young one doing? Once we can get down to the water, we'll join them down there. With so many young ones, this specific herd, it's got a lot of youngsters in the group. Young ones, teenagers, kind of elephant that when they get down to the waterhole can be a lot of fun. They can start playing around with each other and with bird life around the waterhole. So yeah, it's going to be an elephant afternoon, I think. We've been very lucky with elephant the last few days. And then closer to sunset, of course, always down at Gowrie Waterhole, this area. Always the possibility of hoping at least for for a leopard to pop out somewhere. And also those lions that Hayden has been with, the later the afternoon, the closer we are to them getting active. They will get active. I do want to try and get past them myself as well. I just haven't seen that pride since when we were here last in November, December. I would love to just catch up with them and see what they're up to. But for now, I can't ask for anything better than just beautiful herd of elephants, nice and relaxed with our presence as well. That's a beautiful female, huh? Sure. Right in the ear, if you look very, this maybe not now, I'll try and show you later, just to show you some of the notches and markings I've been talking about. That female has got a perfect little sort of keyhole in her ear, but very, very small, so a bit difficult to show out or to point out so quickly. I think that's our guy. The one on the left-hand side of those two, or the smaller, you know, the left-hand to one of the two smaller ones. Or let me put it differently, the one under the trunk. I think that's the one that's been playing around with us. And the right-hand one, you can see it's just got those tiny little tusks, if you look very carefully. Just, now it's turning. Oh, look on the left here. It's just so nice. This young female came walking straight over to us. She was about 30 yards away, and she just came walking right towards us, stopped at about 7 or 8 yards away. Purely just to come have a look. She had a bit of a swagger, almost. There we go again, look at that. Yes. And then she sort of wants to give us a bit of a playful head shake, and then she pretends to eat again. Not quite sure what she wants to do, but she is certainly curious about us. Amazing animals. I don't just mean that in the sense of, you know, how they built. Biggest mammal in the world, definitely the biggest ears of anything in the world, definitely the longest nose of anything in the world. Lots of biggest and longest and tallest and heaviest. But also, and this is an interesting one that people don't always realize, the most intelligent land mammal, I dare to say, in the world. But generally speaking, considered the most intelligent land mammal after us. And I think maybe we're a bit biased just because we are all humans, so we like to think we're the brightest. That must feel good. Little backside scratched against the marula tree. It's considered that elephants are more intelligent even than chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas. We understand those primates easier because they're closer to us in terms of behavior and, well, genetics even. But elephants are highly evolved, highly intelligent, and very interesting animals. Well, she's walking off, so I think we can move again a little bit. Wait, maybe I'll move the other direction since there's a tree in front of us. That's one of the young ones. They're sort of spread out all over the place at the moment. And as I said a little bit earlier, my plan is pretty much to just stay with them. Nice herd of elephants, lots of young ones in them, so seeing them down at the waterhole would be a treat, I can promise you that. But I know where they are, they're not going to disappear, many of them, and they're quite big. Right, let's have a look at this one quickly, and then I just want to go take a short drive. There was a nice big herd of impala further onto this sort of more open area. Go have a look at those impala, see what they're up to. And we'll come back to these ellies, but for now, let's just have a last look. Hey, you two. Almost certainly mother and calf. Although I say that, almost certainly. Elephants are also very, very good at helping each other and looking after each other's young ones. So they would gladly babysit any of the other young ones in the group, or just sort of share company as well. That young one, pretty good with using that trunk, but elephants practice that ability as well. They don't just wake up one morning and suddenly they can use their trunk. That's something that they practice over years. When they get, even when they're sort of 10, 15, 20, they're still learning new ways or better ways of using their trunks. Let's see if we can find those impalas, and then we'll make our way back to these ellies. They're just going into a thick area now. This area to our right, I've been through here a number of times following leopard, and it's very noisy. You know, those sticks that sort of bang up against the car, and I'd rather let them make their way through it at their own time, and we'll catch them again on the other side when they get into the more open area, and then we're going to go down to the waterhole. Good afternoon, Diana. Diana is just wondering, that young elephant that we've had such amazing experiences with a couple of days ago, that mock charge / play. It was also curious and investigating us, and stood on his back legs at some stage. Had it with Hayden the next day when it was coming up, that same day, the afternoon, and actually coming right up to his car to investigate it. And Hayden was explaining it so beautifully. He said, "You know what, Pieter," he doesn't say Pieter, he says Pieter. This elephant came right up. I'm not very good in Australian accent, so I'm not going to try. But he says the elephant came right up to me, mate, and he came right up to the car, and his trunk just came out like this, and just touched it, and then like turned around. So a little bit nervous, but obviously wanting to check us out. Now, Diane is asking, when will that behavior, will it stop or will it continue? And if it doesn't stop, when will it become not so much fun anymore? I have to admit that ellie, and this is the herd, it's such a nice relaxed herd. In other words, the behavior he's learning from the adults in his group, from his mother, from his aunts and from his cousins, is that they are pretty relaxed. So that would tell me they do spend a lot of their time in probably Sabi Sands area where they're used to vehicles, and they're very comfortable with vehicles. So firstly, it's not that one day he's just going to suddenly become like an aggressive elephant. He's growing up around elephants that are well used to vehicles. Will it stop? Possibly. You know, it could just be a curiosity phase he's going through now, and later on he decides, does other things again. But my feeling would be, in fact, I've even said it to a couple of guys, just sort of chatting. It would be great. Imagine imagine for a few seconds with me. Imagine we could dedicate a team of people. I'd gladly volunteer. So listen, we're gonna spend an amount of time, a few months, a year, or the whole time, and we're gonna follow this elephant, really get to know him, see him grow up, do like a 20-year expanded thing with him. That elephant, I think, has got a specific capacity to really be interested in us. Along the way, in my guiding career, working at Nkuhuma and Pilansberg and other places I've seen and been, I've always found there are certain elephants that just have a disposition, or just have this curiosity about us, the same as humans. I mean, none of us are the same. We know this. You know, me and you and Brian and your friends and your family and people you don't even know on the game drive with us at the moment. We all differ. We might have, in our case, we all have something in common. We like wildlife. We're interested in it. We're passionate about it, and therefore we can get along quite well. But we all are very different, and the same is exactly the case with animals, and even more so with elephants, because they are very intelligent animals. So that little guy, I think, has got the potential to become a great character, because I have a feeling that curious behavior will continue to grow. And that mock charge, I don't think, will become an aggressive charge. He was just playing around with us. Oh, beautiful. These are the same impala, actually, the big herd that in November, December again, we were having all the lambs being born. And that's always a big highlight for me, and I know for many people coming out here around that time of year. It's such a stunning thing to see all these baby animals. What's also amazing is how quickly they grow. I'm going to try and show you a specific example. Let's see, that is an adult female. That's another adult female. As soon as we see one, I'll show you. But some of these young ones, there's the young one. That one on the left-hand side, that's an adult female. You see, it's very difficult. There we go. The one walking is an adult. The one standing still with the little horns, that's about 6 months old. Point being that the ones that are 6 months old and the ones that are mature are very, very nearly the same size already. They grow very, very quickly. I mean, impalas, within seconds or minutes at the most after birth, they are up and running around or up and walking around. And they grow very quickly as well. They have to. If they want to survive, they need to be quick. A little bit of a windy afternoon. I mentioned it earlier and you could hear it a few times, I'm sure, but almost a slightly different weather coming in. Guys, just the things you're seeing in the background there, we are literally just behind camp. We are 200 yards away from camp. So the mast that you might notice, that's the very important part of what we're doing. Without that mast, you wouldn't be able to join us. And these impala are slightly jittery, maybe is the word. I think partly with just this wind blowing, that does sometimes unnerve them a little bit. Wind like this is normally a better benefit for predators than for these guys. Stunning afternoon. Light is starting to get that slightly softer feel now, later afternoon time. A couple of big termite mounds there, very sort of African thing. I think people often associate termite mounds also with Africa. That is, of course, the proverbial tip of the iceberg. Majority of that colony's activity is underground. follow these guys a bit. They seem to be changing their location a little bit, heading more up to the slightly higher ground. There's the one male, and he's been causing some of the activity. He looks very alert. I wonder what he's seeing. Just the way he's standing, also those ones around him. No alarm calls, so I don't think they've seen something yet. But let's just keep an eye on this. This could be interesting. This is very interesting. We've been sitting with these impalas for a little while now, but that male is definitely looking alert. Now, he was chasing around a young male earlier, a young impala ram that he's starting to push out now as we're getting closer to the rut. So it could be that he's watching that, but those females were also looking quite alert. Look how they're facing different directions. I don't think there's something specific, but I do think, as I said just now, that with the wind picking up a little bit, wind normally makes the animals a little bit more not uncomfortable, but a little bit more sort of uneasy, I guess. Just wind can hide the sound from animals moving better, as well as their movement, because everything is moving a little bit. All the grass and the twigs, if you look around those impala, you'll see there's movement in the wind, and that's all things that could help actually sort of help with the disguise or the camouflage of a predator. So they're just a little bit more nervous. Plus, we haven't had any wind really the last, well, since we've been here, which is about a week now. So just a little bit of unease for them, but nothing major. And I don't think that was anything. The male, you can see, is coming back. He's maybe more just looking for potential. Oh, of course, he goes and hides behind the termite mound. And I guarantee you, as soon as we move, he's going to start walking. But we are getting up to the rutting season now. This is something we'll be talking about every so often over the next few weeks on the game drives, is the mating season or the rut for the impala. Other animals as well, but the impala are the most prevalent. Okay, that's what he was looking at. There you can see him turning again. Okay, difficult to see where I'm sitting. I could just spot him. But that young male that he chased out earlier is trying to come back to the herd. And this guy is just reminding him, hey, I'm not going to stand for that. Go join a bachelor group. You are now done with living in the female herds. Good looking male, this. Look at the shoulders and the neck, nice and strong, nice big neck. He would be between 4 and 6 years old. That's normally the sort of main dominant guys. Let's see if he runs off again. The males in the rutting season, they showing off would be the wrong way of putting it, but they like to show how fit they are. They like to show the other animals and the females, they look at me, I'm in good condition, I can run fast, I can chase young males away, because it's important. The fitter they come across, the stronger they are, the better chance they will have at mating with females and ultimately passing their genetics on again. And he is in very, very good condition. Good afternoon, Ria. Nice to have you on drive with us. You're just wondering how wide-ranging, in other words, how far do impala move? Again, I'm sure that would vary quite a lot depending on a lot of circumstances. Habitat would play a big role, population density, in other words, how many other impalas, how many other similar antelopes, in other words, other competitors like, wildebeest, zebra, and so forth. Predator density would play a role. But these herds move around, typically speaking, a couple of thousand hectares. So let's say probably around 1,000 to 3,000 hectares home ranges. They're not territorial. Impalas aren't like leopard, for instance, that have a very specific territory that they protect against other animals. They will allow other impala to come through, but they have home ranges, certain areas that they live in and stay in. Little fluff of the white tail there, making sure that the females know he's in good condition and fit and healthy. Right, well, I think we're going to leave these impalas shortly. Let's take one more question on them, and then we're going to go back to those ellies and see how far they are. Hello Trent, nice to have you on drive again. There's not that many people in Fiji that's on drive, so nice to hear from you. He's just referring to the impala's tails. Now this male actually at the moment is really showing us his tail, but Trent was just asking, when impalas are being alert, why is the tail tucked in? Now let's just, well actually that's the perfect example. Let's look at this male. Look at the markings on the tail. The white was very prevalent just now, very obvious, but also those three black lines. Very, very visual. You could easily see that. So basically, these impalas, they use a lot of visual communication. So they use sound. They've got warning sounds. When there's danger, they go. Don't want to make it too loud because then they're going to think there's danger. But and the tail down would mean that it's pretty normal. So let's get back to this again. If we look at these guys, there's a lot of tail flicking going on. Let's try and get you a good example. There we go. Right down the tail end of these impala. So lots of tail flicking would mean firstly there's flies, but secondly also that they're nice and relaxed. There's no concern. The other impalas can see the tails are swishing every now and again. The tail between the legs, or when it's still, would also not be a major concern. So if they are looking at something, the posture will alert other animals that they're looking at something. But if they then see something and make the alarm call, that sort of barking that I just made, and they're running away. When they run away from something, that tail lifts up. So then you've got the white stripes on the backside and the white flash from underneath the tail, and that would also signify or show danger to other impalas. So there's a bit of a sort of brake lights and tail lights and indicator lights kind of aspect to the tail markings on these impala. Alrighty. Great that the impala herds are back, or this specific herd. I like this group. Always great when you see animals in relatively large numbers. And also means that the leopards might be back. Because they come past and there's not much activity, then they go on again. If they come past and they smell, oh, okay, there's been a couple of hundred impala here lately, then the leopards could stick around a bit. We're just going to head back down to where those elephants were, and I'm hoping by now they've moved through that thick stuff, slowly making their way towards a more open area, which will be great for us in terms of viewing them. And then I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're going to see them having a drink, and if we're very lucky, swimming and playing down at the waterhole as well. So let's go see. Well guys, HT is also out there looking for things, and don't go away, and you're going to see a bird with him. Enjoy it.
Give it a go. So folks, what we have in the screen at the moment, a beautiful picture of a bird. It's a common resident. We see them loads of times, but you don't often see them sitting this still. It's a grey lory or lory. It's also known as the go-away bird. Many people know this bird. There's one vocalising in the background as I speak. That's not my app, by the way. It's a real-time call of a go-away bird or a grey lory. And they're a beautiful little sort of ash grey sort of. They're a turico. He's flown. Okay. They've landed right up on a tree. But I'll just show you here on this app what they I'm sure you saw a good picture of it. That's it with that beautiful crest just here. That sort of feathery crest. If anyone's ever seen a mouse bird as well, they look a little bit like a mouse bird, but a much bigger version. That's what they look like when they're flying. But it's this fantastic call. You hear that, go away, and it's sort of, it can be a call that is heard as an alarm call when there's a predator approaching, or they do it when humans are approaching a lot as well. But just a great little bird. We just saw them as we pulled up to this water point here, just sitting there peacefully. There's 3 of them there when we started. This hippo is still in here. There's not a great deal else around. Our grey heron friend, we came down here the other day, which was quite amusing. Our grey heron friend was standing on top of the back of the hippo again, and the hippo was moving across the dam, and the heron was just standing on its back, just getting a ride across. It's an incredible adaptation actually, because what the grey heron's doing is feeding in waters that it can't normally reach, because it stands on the water's edge normally. But anyway, we're going to crack on and see what we can find. So I should bring you up to speed. Just picked up that bird. But the reason why I've left the lines, folks, is because they're flat. They'll stay like that for quite some time. And the other thing is I really want Pete to see them. And I've let the other radios know on the Game Drive channel that the location, what we did is we broke a small branch off and we put a small branch on the road to give an indicator of where that location is, the track's in. And then the other guides will do is see that and then go in and find those lines there. So I want Pete to come back and check those out. So
You're back with us in the vehicle, I think. That happened quite quickly. We are looking for the elephant. I just spotted one there in the thick stuff, but not anywhere sort of good to view yet. So let's come have a look at these guys. Buffalo enjoying the mud. Beautiful grass here. I mean, this looks like a little patch of Serengeti almost. Okay, buffalo, doing what we all know if we've been on many drives by now. Buffalo like to do when it's hot. Taking it easy next to the water. If this is maybe one of your first drives, maybe this is your first drive you're joining with us. Hope you're going to enjoy it. In fact, I'm sure you are. We're now going to that magic part of the afternoon. What's it now? 4:30 African time or South African time. We've got an hour and a half of game drive left and about an hour before sunset. So this is when things start getting active. The lions that we were with earlier could maybe get active in the next half an hour or so. I'm going to be heading there soon. It's going to give these ellies a bit of time if they come and drink. If they're still taking their time, I might be heading for the lions, and then HT perhaps can come and have a look at these ellies. It's going to be stunning when they come down to drink. Let's see what happens. The other thing you might notice over the next few days is these waterholes will become emptier and emptier, faster and faster. And I think that was a little bit clumsy English, but I think you know what I mean. As the day goes on, the rate at which the water disappears will become quicker. And that's partly because more and more animals are using it. Buffalo, elephant, all the animals that come and drink. Also the small ones, you know, if 1,000 birds come and drink twice a day, that's 2,000 bird sips. That's a lot of water that goes. And then of course it's still relatively warm in the day, so the evaporation and this wind that's blowing all plays a big role in the water running out. This Gowrie waterhole, the other day I said 2 to 3 months, but I think closer to 2 months than 3 months before this will be dry. Makes for good mud wallowing though. Hello Heather. Again Heather, great question. I love any kind of question that's observation based. If you're looking at something and go, I wonder why that's happening. Wondering if those birds are bothering the buffalo. It's quite a nice sentence actually, the birds that are bothering the buffalo. Not really bothering them, in fact they're helping them. Those are red-billed oxpeckers and they oxpeckers, the birds are benefiting, the buffalo are benefiting, and that's a lot of B in the sentence when buffalo and birds are benefiting from the same behavior. But point is, they get their food from the buffalo, the ticks and the fleas, they clean off them. The buffalo in turn get this perfectly, sort of detailed valet service getting cleaned. And one of those two species, in a mutualistic relationship, one of the two species are actually dependent on that relationship. In this case, the oxpeckers. Without large mammals, without buffalo, without rhino, without giraffe and impala, which also fall into that category, without those animals, the oxpeckers actually wouldn't be able to survive because they have developed their niche or specialized their niche so much. And then the second part to your question, Heather, just trying to look if there's a good example. That one has got a couple of tears in it. Just asking why the buffalo's ears are so torn. That's just over the years, running through bushes and fighting a bit sometimes, but often just running through thorn bushes when there's lions busy chasing them is normally the reason. They can end up with having little cuts and things in their ears. Oh, the light is literally getting better. Since we've stopped here until now, the light has gotten even better. You can see the long shadows, the contrast on this buffalo becoming beautiful. The color here in the foreground, from the water to the sand to the yellow grass, just making little waves in the wind. What a perfect place to be. Let's go have a look. I think we might be getting closer to elephant time again. Hello Angela, all the way from Bangkok if I've got it right. Angela, great question. Thank you asking if I've ever had a favorite animal in the bush that I've spent time with. Whew. Well, I'm just going to stop here and we'll just talk until the end of game drive. There won't be any more driving around because I'm going to tell you about all of them. Angela, that's a tough question in the sense that I've had many favorite animals, but I'll try and summarize it in about a minute or so because the ellies are just coming out as I was hoping they would. And this is about to become excellent elephant time. So, Angela, in this place alone, Djuma alone, I've had two big favorite animals. The one is still around, Karula, the mother of those two young leopard males that we're seeing often at the moment. And the other one, well, I've actually got three now. The other one is a bull elephant called Wonky, and I'll tell you some stories about him later, but just look at this. A fantastic bull elephant. He's dead now, unfortunately. He died from a fight with another elephant. But I did enjoy him very much. He became as close to as you can get with, or as close to as you can come to making friends with an elephant. Wonky, many of you that have been coming on drives for a long time will remember him. And then my new favorite is that youngster in this herd that's been giving us such nice interactive experiences. Look at this nice head shaking movement here. Nice, very swaggering walk there. This is the beautiful female. This one as well. Oh, guys, how awesome is this? Right next to us. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, let's get down to the water because that's where they're heading. And I want to go get ringside seats. I wonder where Hayden is at the moment. Unfortunately, there's a problem with the Game Drive radio channel. It would be lovely if HD can come and join us here because this is going to be beautiful. Oy, sorry, there's a ditch. Look at that. Hello, ladies. Oh, stunning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them it seems. Buffalo there as well, not moving much. There's not normally too much sort of interaction between them and buffalo. Elephants sometimes get into a playful mood and might chase the buffalo away just because they can. Sorry, we stopped at a very precarious angle here. Just wanted to wait for them to pass us and then I'll go around to them as well. It looks like they want to go drink on the other side of the water. I think maybe because of the wind. Look at that. Having a look at those buffalo, saying, hey, what are you guys up to? They're surrounding the buffalo. This is what you call a bullhorn hunting formation. They're surrounding the buffalo. This is what you call a bullhorn hunting formation. Just kidding. But the car did give them a little head shake there, but nothing serious. Oh, this is beautiful. Stunning light, stunning setting, great herd of elephant. Right here in front of Voitela Lodge. I don't think you can ask for anything more than this at the moment. Funny, but elephants love to drink on that little sort of little corner there. See where they're heading at the moment. I don't know where they're going to drink. Just going to stop opposite them. We'll get ourselves a bit level. Okay. That's good. Oh, great light. This is any photographer's dream. It's a great thing when you've got animals drinking water. Not only is it a nice behavior to experience, because I think we can all associate with being thirsty and how nice it must feel after a hot day of walking around the bush, finally getting to the waterhole and enjoying that drink. There's always a beautiful activity to see, but also you get that feeling of happiness with them. sucking the water up into the trunk, blowing it back into the mouth. Well, couldn't have hoped for better timing. You've maybe just joined us in the last minute or two. We saw this elephant herd. I'm a little bit excited. I'm talking faster than my mouth can keep up with. Saw this elephant herd a little bit earlier. And it was nice to watch them in the bush and had a bit of interaction from a few of them. And I was just hoping that we would actually get them drinking round about this time, and it has worked out perfectly. Great sound as well, if you just listen while they're drinking. You can hear the splashing in the water, picking of the mud, slurping of the water, and a bit of spillage when they drink. Stunning. And as soon as they've had a good drink, this is what could follow. It's been a nice warm day, so a bit of mud bathing at the end of a day like this, it's just bliss. She's making the perfect mixture of mud and water there. And you can see her getting literally at almost every spot, just a little bit of a dry area still on top of her head and her back. But there you go, one side, then the other side, under the belly, on the back just now as well. I think she's going to make sure she covers it all. There we go, on the back. Now again, I often feel like elephants do this because it's nice. They enjoy it. It feels good. But it does also help to keep them cool, or to cool them down. Elephants don't sweat like we do, so by spraying water and spraying mud on their skins, they get that evaporative cooling, so it does cool them down. And then also, of course, helping a little bit to get rid of some exoparasites. Elephants don't really have a big problem with flies and ticks and things like buffalo would, but still helps with that as well. Once again, difficult to decide where to look. There's a young one. A few of the other elephants starting to walk into the water. I'm hoping for a bit of play here, so let's see what happens. This one is just venturing in. I thought at one stage he might actually walk through the water to the other side. Looks like he's wearing boots now. Glistening now with the wet mud. Looks like a bronze statue almost. Well, more good news. Oh, look at the little guy. Like, come on, you grown-ups, don't just stand there and spray the mud, just get down into it. I think this is our youngster. This is the guy. Difficult. No, I didn't take specific notes the other day. I should have, but it looks like him. But it might not be. I'm not gonna. Sorry, the bit of good news I was referring to, nothing big, but I'm just hearing some squirrels that are alarm calling further here behind us into the drainage line. So squirrels calling at this time of day, often an indication of a dappled cat that might be about. But that won't bother elephants. They're big, they don't have to worry about the cats. They can just get down to the good stuff in life. Having a drink when you're thirsty, and a mud bath when you're hot. Well, we're going to stay with them for a bit, see if this youngster gets up to any more antics, and also keep our ears alert for what that squirrel might be calling for. And that's how you do a mud bath. Get down and dirty, get right in there. You see? Look at this. Wow! Sorry, it's difficult where to look, what to do. I thought this big female was going to go all the way down, but for now just onto her, well, onto her wrist really, but looks like her knees. I thought she was going to follow the example of the youngster. I could almost show you, but that youngster has just stopped again. So let's watch these ones. They are playing, but one of the elephants almost went into the water to cross the water. The one that's a bit to the side here. Pam, you're just asking if elephants can swim. Yes, they can. They're quite good swimmers, actually. This one was going to swim across. Sorry, but now he's walking on that. There he goes now. It's the young male, and he was feeling a little bit separated from the herd, and he wanted to cross the water, but then he decided he had other business to attend to. It looks like he's going to take the long way around. But Pam, they're quite good swimmers. In this area, it's not something they do all the time, because we don't have, I mean, in this area that we're in specifically, I mean, not in Greater Kruger, but elephants that live in like the Okavango Delta or in places where there's big river systems, they would often swim to cross rivers. Keeping in mind also they can cross many rivers without actually having to swim. They can go quite a long way while walking, even if they're touching the bottom and sticking the trunk up to breathe like a snorkel. I've seen them cross deep rivers where they're actually just walking across, but they can swim. This little guy looks like he's up for a bit of fun. Back to his mud wallow from earlier. Let's see if he gets down and dirty again. Or down and dirtier maybe. Yay! Oh, that must feel so nice. You can feel that they're feeling happy, that they're enjoying this. Great to be able to share in it, to view it without bothering them and without them being bothered by us. That's what I love about this area. The great part here is the mother elephant doesn't have to worry about bath time, because this is bath time. This is done. So I've got two little kids at home. My son is 6 months old and my daughter approaching 4 now. And Leash and my wife is taking care of bath time at the moment. But put it this way, I'm glad my boy or my girl doesn't go and do this just before bath time. But for the ellies, this is it. This is part of how they care for their skin, how they keep themselves cool, how they exfoliate in a very serious way. Later on they'll go and rub up against the tree like we saw earlier on against that marula tree. One of these females was just scratching her backside. All part of how they keep themselves clean. I always say when we come back from the beach or from the sand dunes and my kids are full of sand, I always say, but it's clean dirt. They're not dirty, they just have clean sand on them. Same with elephants, they're actually very clean animals. Well guys, I think we're building up to a very exciting afternoon because we've got great ellies here. We've got those lions still lying around. I was going to go there, but you know, these elephants are just stunning. I'm going to stay with them a bit more. I'm sure you feel the same. And I think Hayden's going to go back to those lions for us and give us an update soon. And also hopefully catch them as they get active, as they get into the evening. And you know, if they're hunting, they're moving back into this area. The Pride of Lions hunting is a very exciting thing, if it happens. I mean, they might still be lying around for another hour or two. But if they get on the hunt, then maybe I'll go join HT and have a look at what they're up to. But we've got a good afternoon ahead of us. We've got about an hour of game drive left, big breeding out of elephants, buffalo bulls still sleeping in the mud here, and hopefully soon some news on those lions from HT. So lots happening. The squirrel has stopped calling, but just because the squirrel is still there. Okay, let me just rewind that quickly. Just because the squirrel has stopped calling doesn't mean the leopard has left. That's what I was trying to say. So lots to look forward to, and thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us here in Africa. It's going to be a good afternoon. Let's have a look at this guy. Sorry, I know there's ellies going on, but you could hear that call. It's a bit of a strange call. Hello, Marsha. Just quickly, while we're looking at the ellies, we will try and show you just now what you're asking about. But just asking about the nostrils of an elephant's trunk, or that's sort of the same thing, the nostrils in the elephant's trunk. That's a grey heron, and it's the call you heard, that yeah, just before we went to look at him. Lots of bird life coming down to the water now as well. With the elephant's trunk, it is actually 2 nostrils, and they run as 2 separate tubes, if you want, up to the top of the base of the skull, so they don't merge into one chamber later on. Okay, we're just going to move slightly. Oh, look at that last light catching her. Even an elephant's backside can look beautiful in light like that. Not that I'm saying that elephant doesn't have a nice backside, because if she understood that, then I don't know if I want to go back there again. She might be upset. All right. Let's get around the front of them. I do prefer the front view. Okay, just going to look at these guys quickly. A couple of little birds having a drink here. These are crested francolin, one of my favorite birds in the bush. Oh, that's great to hear. Guys, just on the Twitter feed, some of you saying that it's bringing tears to your eyes. And you know what, I'm very happy when I sit with elephants like this. Just me personally, I love it. And then to hear that you guys are enjoying it as well, that almost brings tears to my eyes. So thank you for letting us know. It's always great to hear feedback like that. And great to know you guys are enjoying it. And a just big thank you to you. Yes, every one of you, every single one of you that have been here for years, and every single one of you that's maybe just joined us. Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure and such a privilege to be able to do this, to share this with you. And do remember that without you, we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be sharing this. So, thank you. And I really do mean that. And I'm going to stop now, otherwise I'm going to get tears in my eyes. And I'm a big, tough African man. We don't cry. Unless my daughter says hello. On game drive when I'm missing her terribly. I miss my family. I've got an amazing wife, great 2 kids. They love wildlife. My daughter loves wildlife. Elephants, she can mimic a bunch of animals already. Hippo, zebra, lion a little bit, jackal. I think we just sit here for the moment and just see where these ellies are heading. And also keep in mind, we should have an update on some lions for you. If all goes well, you can't promise because it's the wild, things can change. But lots of things happening in the last part of this drive. I have a feeling. Well observed, Grace. Just commenting there on some of those elephants that were hanging their trunks over their tusks earlier. One of the females, in fact it might have been this one doing it earlier, just nudging the youngster along. She's like, come along. Oh, there we go, exactly what he's... It's a bit selfish of mum there. The youngster wanted to have a little scratch after his mud bath. Remember earlier I said they get this mud on them and then they have a little rub. But mum was like, move along, I want this tree. It's a very nice tree that elephants love rubbing up against it. It's a marula tree, but it's at this bit of an angle so they can really get sort of into the side of their chests and bellies. Look at that, having a good old scratch. But Grace, yeah, it's fairly common that elephants do that, where they hang their trunks over the tusks. But generally speaking, only big elephants, obviously because the tusks need to be big enough. You see it often with big male elephant. And with male elephant, it can also be a very subtle sort of dominance behavior, you know, just sort of to show another elephant, look how big my tusks are, I can hang my trunk over it kind of thing. And other times just because they want to relax the trunk a little bit. Oh, that's the good scratch. Oh yes, get right in there. Amazing how dexterous and well balanced they are. I mean, she's a big elephant. She probably weighs 4 tons, maybe more. That's about 9,000, 10,000 pounds in that region. Up on one leg, quick. Get a scratch there. Entertaining animals, elephants. Always something going on. Those two are having a scratch. These ones are having a dust bath. The happy lives of the world's largest land mammal. They're all taking their turns. Those are moving along. This is the other female now, using the same tree. And you'll see when she walks away, there you can see the tree trunk. This is not the first time or the second time. This is the many hundredth or many thousandth of time that an elephant has come for a good scratch there. I just have a good look there. You see where her back is relative to the tree trunk. And we'll see those rubbing marks just now as well. Just take a note of it. I'll tell you in a few minutes why. Even the chest, all those difficult to reach places. This is the perfect tree for this. Off she goes. I want to go show you something quickly. We're going to stay with them. They're just moving up the road. But there's something I'd like you to have a quick look at. This is to give an idea of the height. Now keep in mind, up there, the shoulder was much taller than this. This is where they were scratching the sides of their bodies. And you can see the mud here. In fact, you can even see the tree trunk itself has been rubbed smooth over time. Just by coming up and going, oh, that's the spot, yes. Actually, that feels really good. And then the other one and the other one. I'm not going to do all of them. Some of those poses were not something I think I can do on a live broadcast. Let me see if I can put my foot... No. Let's just leave it at that. Guys, but this just gives an idea of the scale of it. And what I love about this as well is you really get the sense of... This is not the first time that ellies have done this. You know, you can really, just looking at this tree trunk, you can see they've been here many, many times. Where's your thumb guy?
The thumb?
The thumb. Show me the thumb. That's just such a nice black mud. This. I was trying to give him a little suit. It's just perfect black mud. It just looks so nice. I'm just in a happy mood, guys. We just had such a lovely experience with these ellies. Really, you know, there's things you hope to see, and seeing elephant are always great, just because they're great animals, they're intelligent. But to really get this sort of beautiful behavior, beautiful light, perfect time of day, playing young elephant, it's just brilliant. You know, you can't buy that. You can only experience it. Let's go spend a couple more minutes with them. Well, they're moving along. A little bit of dust bathing going on. Guys, we're just looking at those elephants where they were rubbing up against that tree. They've had a good scratch. And these last ones in the back are just having a bit of a dust bath. Basically just taking that mud that they had in their bodies and then spraying a bit of dust over it, creating a nice sort of muddy, dusty layer over the skin. Good afternoon, Mackenzie, or shall I say good morning? I think it's about 11 o'clock or so in Virginia at the moment. Mackenzie, you're about the same age as my daughter. She's turning 4 in August, so great to have you on the game drive. Always special to have kids on the game drive, because I think kids, even more so than adults, they can so easily just transport themselves here and just come and enjoy the wildlife and experience it with us. So Mackenzie, great to have you on game drive. And a great question as well. Mackenzie is just asking, do elephants rinse their trunks out after they've had that mud bath? After they've had all that mud, because obviously they suck the mud up into the trunk and then they spray it back onto their bodies. And you know what, Mackenzie, I've never thought about that. It just shows you how well you were thinking about what's going on here. How you were putting yourselves in that elephant's shoes, or feet, shall we rather say. And I'm sure you like playing with mud as well, so maybe that's why you're thinking about it. And I think, yes, I'm sure they would. It would make sense. They don't want to drink mud, they want to play with mud, they want to drink water. So it does make sense to me that they would rinse their trunk out once or twice before they drink water. Great question, Mackenzie, and big welcome on the game drive. Guys, just let us know a little bit via email or Twitter, #SafariLive to tweet, questions at WildEarth to email. How many of you are watching this game drive at this moment with your children, whether you're in a schoolroom or with your kids, grandkids? I know many of you take your grandkids along and game drive with us, and I absolutely love that. And I know HT as well. Both of us are fathers, and we both, you know, I think anyone that's passionate about anything, especially something as amazing as wildlife, that passion is so easy to share with kids, because kids just, they get into it, you know, they enjoy it, they're not afraid to say, yeah, that's awesome to see elephants swimming in the water. You know, adults, we tend to be a little bit more sort of composed. Kids are much more free with their expression and their experience. And I'm getting to the point of awesome to see elephants swimming in the water. You know, adults, we tend to be a little bit more sort of composed. Kids are much more free with their expression and their experience. And I'm getting to the point of, let us know if you're watching this at the moment with your grandkids or your kids or your brother or your sister or your classroom mates. Just give us an idea. I'd love to get an idea of how many kids are on game drive with us. I'm not really sure what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just sort of driving along. Those ellies went off into thick bush there, and I think we've had a great time with them. I don't want to go in there after them now. I'm also hoping that HT is getting close to those lions. I hope they haven't moved, but I'm sure you can track them down. You know, HT knows a thing or two about the bush and about animals, that's for sure. So let's take another question or two, and I'm going to go look around for leopard up there. Julie, again, behavioral notice there. Really great when you guys are watching what's going on, and then if you're seeing a bit of behavior that maybe I didn't mention or we didn't see, and you ask about that. I really do enjoy that. So Julie, great question from Ohio. If elephants are swinging their front foot, now elephants do that sometimes, so they stand and then the one foot they'll pick up and they do sort of this lazy sort of swing of the foot. Now for me, it often shows a bit of almost indecisiveness, almost like there's two elephants standing there and the one is sort of doing that. He's like, well, am I going to play with this one or not? Am I going to ignore him or not? Am I going to give him a fright or not? It's a little bit like sort of, what am I going to do next? At other times, it depends on how it's being moved. At other times, elephants try and make themselves tall. They try and lift themselves up as much as they can. And then they would lift the one foot off the ground in doing so. But that's normally more in the sort of posture type behavior. The sort of, look at me, I'm big and tall kind of thing. So if we see it again, maybe not to these guys now, I've left them for now, but if we sit with the ellies again and we see it specifically, Julie, give me a quick shot and I'll explain hopefully what's happening at that time as well, but well observed. Okay, we're going to have to do this just because it's beautiful. We've got that heron from earlier just standing in a beautiful place with the light around him. Just have a little look at that area, it's beautiful. Post sunset, just that color in the sky. And then we are going to be heading up towards quarantine and see what those squirrels were calling about earlier. Maybe there's something moving around, getting ready for the night hunting. That's gorgeous. Best time of the day. This and the equivalent time in the morning. Well, this is a question, John, that we'll be talking about many times over the next couple of months. Myself and HT have spoken about it quite a few times. Also Scott, Brent, and Stefan will talk about it over the ensuing couple of months following from now. As it gets drier, there will be a few other waterholes. John was just asking, are there any permanent waterholes for when these other holes start drying up? Now, most of them will just dry up, and that's it. They will dry up. But a couple of the places, like at Nkuhuma here, they've got a smaller waterhole that they can actually pump water into, partly to provide water for animals, obviously, but also if it gets that dry, the game viewing is phenomenal anywhere where there is water, as you can well imagine. So there will be water going into the dry season here, even once the waterhole is dried up. But then it's just a little place that they pump. So the kind of thing that a herd of elephant like this could just empty out, but then they'll fill it up again. So I can promise you a few things, and one of those is that in the next few months you are going to see very, very good game drives around here. Lots of wildlife because of the dry conditions of the coming winter. Great, guys, thank you for the massive response here. That's beautiful. Just saying that many of you are watching with what is there? Some birds flying across here. Woodoo-poos. Just letting us know that many of you are watching with your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren even, and furry children, cats and dogs. I know many of you are great pet lovers as well. I think pets are great. If it's possible, obviously, if you have the time and the space. We've got 3 dogs at home. Not big dogs, but they're not small. They're about, Shay is about 30-something kilograms, about 70, 75, 80 pounds maybe, and Nandi. And I'll give you one guess what my third dog's name is. One or two of you might be able to guess it, that have known me for a long time. What's one of my favorite animals of all time that has a beautiful name? It sort of goes nicely with Queen of Nkuhuma. But yeah, dogs and cats, especially dogs. I'm a big dog person. Great to grow up, and especially dogs and children. They make a great combination as well. My daughter is her best friend is Shay. My third dog's name is actually Karula, named after the one and only. And Nandi is named after similar name to Tandi, the other female Karula's daughter, which means beautiful. Was also the name of Shaka Zulu's mother. Guys, just going to get through the dip here. I am now on a mission to look for leopard. It's leopard time, that time of the day when the shadows are getting long. In fact, the shadows have taken over. The night is coming and the hunters are out. Speaking of hunters, Hayden has been able to catch up with a few, so enjoy it, and we'll see you back here in a bit again.
Folks, we looked everywhere. We went back to the place that they were, and we couldn't see them anywhere. And sure enough, we went round, and VM said, "Why don't we try around the other side on another road?" And sure enough, there they were. So we found our lines again. Because Pete spent that incredible time with those elephants, we thought it was a good idea to maximise our chances of seeing these guys a bit more active. For me to come back over here, I really wanted to see these guys, but it was one of those sort of dilemma situations. But we want to bring the best content to you always, so here you go, have a look at these beautiful guys. They're much more active, much more awake now. Well, some of them anyway. Folks, you may hear another radio and some voices in the background. We have another vehicle with us, and that's what you just might hear. Aren't they magnificent? So this is the time where lions have just become active. You can see the posture of that female that VM has in shot now. It's a real posture of just keeping an eye out, just listening, just keeping tabs on everything that's going on. And if VM just tilts up a little bit and goes to the left, that female down there exactly the same. Very, very alert, comfortable, relaxed, but very alert. Those two, you can just see that little head turn. Any single thing that moves will attract their attention. And we are in a beautiful position here. Fantastic place to be. So very, very fortunate we came around that way. Here we go. Just having a stretch, or we're just having a look. Mama. She just stood up quite briskly. You will see the body posture change dramatically. If she sees a prey animal, she'll drop her head. She'll drop her head. And if she sees movement there, she'll drop her head and she'll just slink off around to the left of that tree, I'd imagine, if it's walking the other way there. So she's very alert. I would say that what happens now is if she gives the next stage of alertness, then everyone else will prick their ears up as well. So if she moved off it in a sort of stealthy position there and went to go behind that foliage off to her left, everyone would pay attention. Individual right in front of me is only about 3 meters away from us, and she is just also being slightly more alert. No, false alarm. False alarm. Now what we might see here is we might see some sort of yawning behaviour if they haven't already been through it. They might start to sit up and yawn, lots and lots of big yawns, and that really does give the indication that they're on the move. I'm just going to roll forward a little bit to let these other folks come a bit closer. So just bear with me, folks. So I was just telling the other vehicle that they can come up a little bit closer. Sometimes cats get that sort of fur ball or something stuck in their throat, and you'll get that behaviour as well, where they'll regurgitate something that they eat a lot of bone, they could have had something go up his nose then, fly, anything. So you start to get this yawning, these small yawns that'll start to happen. Well, that says it all. But they're a little bit more active than they were before. But VM, if you just go down the road a little bit, mate, and have a look, that female down there on the left, she looks like the female that's the most alert and the one that's on the lookout at the moment. She's paying attention to everything going on. So we're just going to sit with them for a minute, just have a look at these beautiful pictures, but you can see that really unusual marking down that animal's tail too, or down the spinal column. They all have little unique markings like that. Well, Gilly in Milwaukee, Wisconsin has a question for us, and great to have you with us, Gilly. Wants to know that, telling us that, from what people perceive from the movies, and that you think that you have a male that dotes over his cubs and, is the sort of bastion of the family pride and so on. The sort of head of the pride. Well, the male does. The male is the one that protects the pride from other males, and sometimes there's a couple of males that do it. There's a lot of tender little moments with cubs and adults alike, but overall the males they don't have the hugest tolerance for cubs. They'll let them play with their tail or something a bit and move around them and stuff, and then they give them a little swat normally, or a little facial expression, or a little growl to move away. They certainly don't stand for any cubs coming anywhere near them when they're feeding. They'll let them know what the order of eating manners is at the kill. That's for sure. So, but look, I mean, males that females just looked up. Males are generally there to protect the pride. They are the head of the pride, but at the same time, there's a there's a slight hierarchy in the females. You're going to have one that's more experienced than the others and older and so on. But generally speaking, the males tolerate the youngsters up to a point, and then they give them a little bit of a lesson about where they should fit into the pride. Thank you very much for your question. Excuse me. Folks, just please excuse me, I'm just going to talk to one of the other guides just to let them know what's the story. My radio has got bad comms. Would you be able to just let people know where the site is, please, mate? Okay, no problem, mate. Just no worries. Thanks, mate. Thank you. I missed that. So just letting the other guide know, because my radio is, my game drive channel is not very, very good where I am right now. I just want to let other guides know that I'm the only vehicle on location, so 2 other vehicles could come in if they wanted to. So it's just a really nice thing to do and make sure everyone knows about these lines and where they are. Hi John, got it. Fantastic to have you on board. John's in Connecticut, and John, really welcome aboard to you. John, your question about whether the wind, it has been very windy today, yeah, well picked up there. The wind has dropped to nearly 0. There's a slight breeze at the moment, and it will work in the benefit of these lines because they are looking into the wind. So very, very clever. They're hunting into the wind. Nothing walking onto them here will smell them. They might see them first, but they won't smell them unless another animal gives their presence away, like another bird or something like that, or a squirrel. But at the present moment, they're lying, just sitting tight on this road. To give you a little bit of an idea of the terrain, John, excuse me, just to where in front of where that lioness is looking now, there is a very, very nice long view into some slightly medium wooded vegetation, and they will get a glimpse of an impala or something walking through there, or maybe a herd even just coming through that little area. Now they're downwind, so that's to their advantage. But a really windy day can be very, very detrimental to a lion's hunt, because the wind's swirling around and putting the scent of the lion everywhere, and a lot of animals end up picking up the scent of the lions and just running off. So great question, John. Thank you very, very much, and great to have you on board. Hi Jean, all the way from Los Angeles. It's fantastic to have you on board on the east coast of the US, and a beautiful city you live in too. I just wanted to answer Jean's question. Jean wants to know if I've numbered all the pride and counted the 8 that we were supposed to have, and I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I only got 7, so excuse me. we're going to have to really try and figure out what's happened to this other individual and whether it was something that happened this morning in that skirmish up at on Cheetah Cut Line. But I'll definitely talk to Scotty and Steph and everyone that we can to find out what that potential mishap was or where that other individual is. Definitely try and find out for you, and we'll get back to you. Thank you very, very much for your question. Just rearranging a few things in the vehicle, folks, just to make sure before the darkness sets in we're all organised. It's always good to do before it gets dark, and we can make sure we know where our spotlight is and all that sort of thing. And the light is definitely dropping. It's quite a beautiful temperature now. It's definitely dropped down. You start to see these animals. You just saw that individual there, the lioness that's close to us, yawn. Now I want to see if this starts to have a knock-on or a domino effect. Please excuse a little bit of scratching around here, folks. We're just setting up our spotlight. The light's still fine. But I just want to make sure we're ready to go so we don't have to mess around in the dark. But yeah, she yawned, and I just want to start to see, it's normally a bit of a chain reaction. You get one yawn and then the other one will yawn, and they might get up then and have a nice sort of greeting with each other. Hello, my girl. Aren't you beautiful? Let's just watch this and see if we get a couple more yawns going on. I think this female is instigating a move, or she might just plonk down, but it looks like she's instigating some form of move. Changing her location, looking out the other direction as well. And going back down. There's a yawn. Another yawn. So this female's starting to yawn as well. Excuse me, folks, I'll just have a drink of water. It's been a bit of a hot one today. Oh, I needed that. John in Connecticut, great to have you, and just a quite good sort of pertinent question about this pride and what's going to happen to their future. What pride is potentially going to be the one, or what males could be the ones that push this pride out? And the prediction is the Matimba males, who are thought to be the Matimba pride, thought to be the parents of this this lot. So they will probably be the ones that move this pride out. Watch this boy now, see if he yawns. Really nice. There's a little bit of behaviour. Look, there we go. This is where it all starts to happen. Another yawn maybe. It's just walking down. So we are still with our Nkuhuma pride, and lying up next to each other. Hello, my boy. It's okay, my boy. You stay right where you are, buddy. You're so fine. And they do this. They stand up. They move to another position, and they end up just moving to another spot. Just got another vehicle coming, folks, so what I'll do is just give this person some space. It's okay, my boy. It's okay, tiger. Well, lion. It's okay, buddy. It's okay, my boy. There you go. So, I'm just going to put a very soft light on here, folks. Very soft. It's just a soft light. It's only a few LEDs that just give a bit of a wash over the area, and I don't want to put it all over the others down there at the moment because it's just not quite dark enough. But it's just a little bit of light to see. This is a youngster. This is a juvenile. They're all starting just ahead of me down further. They're starting to get a little bit more active now. You'll start to see these interesting interactions that occur. Just down a bit further, VM, there's the females starting to move off. Just down here, a couple of the females have just moved off. I think the others will follow. So what I'm just trying to do now is orientate myself to figure out which way we're going to drive to try and find them crossing the next road. Another individual. Still the big male just lying there. Another female. Oh, sorry, the male's moved off. Another male, oh, the male is still there. This youngster's just gotten up next to me. So what I think we might do is just move up with them. Seeing the lights there. Nice big yawn as well. Just moving off into the bush. So I'm looking at where they're walking to and the direction that they're walking. I think we may have to go around and drive a little bit further. We've still got this boy here. You can just see him. I know it's very dark, folks. I just want to make sure that's exactly what I was waiting for, the lights of the other vehicle, which I'm really thankful they did that to get our angle and so on. That's fantastic. Copy. Copy. Not sure if we can light that any more than we are, folks, just for the animals' welfare. We've just got a soft light on it here. I know it's the back of his head, but at the same time he wants to know where his females went, and I think he might have let them go off and have a bit of a hunt. I am looking at my watch. We've got about 13 minutes to go, or 12 minutes to go or something. I'm in a bit of a dilemma whether to go around and see if these animals cross a road, or whether we follow or stick with this guy. I think we're going to take a chance. They're definitely not coming back this way, and the others have gone right around. So what I'm going to try and do is drive around and see if we can cut them off, not cut them off, intercept them. Okay, folks. Thank you, my boy. Beautiful. While I reposition, I think it's probably the best idea that we go across and to see Pete and what he's up to. I'm going to try and get around the other side. I didn't want to follow them through that vegetation. It's just going to make a lot of noise and upset their hunt, basically. I'm going to try and cut around and see if we can pick them up another way. So while we do that, let's go and see what Pete's up to, and we'll come back to see you before the end.
Well, evening is upon us. Just the last sort of memories of it lingering on the horizon to the west. Those lions are a little bit lazy, you know, that's the benefit of being a lion. You don't really have to go anywhere if you don't want to. Lovely scene here. And a little bit of activity. I believe they're yawning a bit and stretching a bit. You know, the little bits of things lions start to do before they get active, but they can take another 5 minutes or they can take another 2 hours before they do anything. But I'm sure HT gave you lots of information on them and got to know the group quite well, just spending so much time with them. We've been bumbling around, looking here, looking there, haven't really found anything specific. And we are now almost back here at Gowrie Dam again, where we had those amazing elephants earlier, which was certainly from the Jigger side, from our side, highlight for the afternoon. And we've got about, well, not that much time left actually, 8 minutes or 7 minutes or so for the drive. And I'm going to do one last run around Quarantine, see what might be out and about. I just can't help it. Always have to stop for this view. No, I've stopped on this wall. If I have to count all the WildEarth days and all the game guiding or game ranging days with Juma, I don't even know how many times I would have to guess, but certainly a few thousand times. And yet I can never drive past here, especially at this time of the day when you've got this beautiful last reminders of the day just lurking on the horizon. You can't just drive past, you have to stop. You have to take a breath. Yo, did you hear that?
That was close.
That was a bat. You can actually see it flying. There it's going again. You can see there's a bat. But it came so close past us, I thought it hit something actually. I thought it flew into the antenna or something. But yeah, just a beautiful view. The waterhole, a few lights there from Boetela Lodge. We have a minute or 2 or 3 or 7 to be precise left. See if we still find something for a last little surprise at the end of drive. Those lions were being lazy, as I said, not going anywhere, and I'm sure Hayden also gave you all the different possibilities about what they can do. But in the end, you know what? In the end, they do what they want to do, when they want to do. And that's the beauty of being out in a wild area like this, where animals still live the way they've lived for millennia. Since before we can remember time. Let's see, maybe we can bump into Q for a little exclamation at the end of drive. That's the beauty of the drive as well. You know, we say this all the time. I used to say it a lot, and I should actually say it more again because it is one of my favorite little sort of catchphrases. But you never know what's going to happen next. You never know what's around the next bend, and that's so true. I mean, we could come around that corner just past that bush, and there's a leopard walking down the road, and that's truly the beauty of the game drive. Is that the possibility of anything exists all the time. And this afternoon we had a great delivery of that with those elephants. Great to find ellies, always nice to spend time with them. Had some nice interaction, but hoping that they would go drink just before sunset, and they did pick the perfect time. I mean, the lighting when they were drinking was just phenomenal. They're really just highlighting how beautiful they are, and really, as many of you commented, you know, we had lots of feedback even later on in the drive. Guys, thanks so much for all the feedback. It's always great to hear from people having a good time with us. But just a great experience with those ellies. I loved it, you guys loved it, we all loved it. The lions, fantastic as well, getting a little bit active now. And unless we bump into leopard, for which we'll certainly get you back here on the jigger. I think we're going to send you back to HT just now. Go have a look at those lions for the last few minutes. Maybe there's a nice big yawn or a little play or two before the end of drive. Brian, always thank you. Nice being on the vehicle with you. And for myself, Pieter Pretorius, guys, thank you very much for joining us here in Africa on the drive. We will see you again tomorrow morning, bright and early, for the sunrise safari. See you later.
Well, folks, we've just come down on the other side of where those lions were. They're walking through this area here somewhere, and it's anyone's guess. But I'm just going to keep this on the road there so VM can keep an eye on it as well while I look at the camera. But I've got a last question from Amy Clark in Surrey. Hi, Amy. Great to have you on board. And Amy wants to know, if you want to know what our biggest danger is here, well, our biggest danger is probably on an animal side of things, is putting yourself in the wrong position, either with elephants or potentially lion. Did you hear that? There you go. There's a kudu. Kudu barking. That means those lion are just there. Hear that? That's a kudu. That kudu is making an alarm call. It's picked up the pride. They are just in that area, just in there. So they're definitely up here somewhere. I'm just going to move up a little bit, folks. So Amy, the most dangerous thing is getting yourself into that wrong position with elephants or lion, but mainly elephant. That's what you've really got to watch out for. And you've got to give them a really nice wide berth and just respect them and watch their body language and their behaviour. Thanks so much for being on board, Amy. It's great to have you with us, matey. Definitely in there somewhere. And what a lovely thing to finish on, folks, that you know, I'm just going to keep it on there because you can see if they cross the road, you heard that bark, you heard that excuse me, you heard that vocalization from that kudu, and that was that kudu picking up either noise or scent of the lion and setting that alarm call out. So they could walk through here at any second. But I suppose what we should probably start to do is thank you very, very much for joining us today, this morning on our sunrise drive and tonight on our sunset drive. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board. I know you had an extraordinary encounter with elephant with Pete, and I'm just really happy about that. We've got some great content or great footage or great experiences. What is it really about? Because it's live. This is coming to you live from the Sabi Sands in South Africa, and that's the most extraordinary thing, that we are talking to you right here, right now. What you're seeing is what's happening right now. So tomorrow morning, we'll be out bright and early. Pete and I will be up doing what we do. We'll talk to everyone tonight, have a bit of a listen. We'll listen for these lines tonight as well. Thank you to all the people on Facebook, on Twitter, everyone that's emailed in today, all those fantastic groups, Juma Junkies, all the wonderful people on Twitter that give us all that information and interacting with you. And you are the most important thing in this. This whole delivery of Wild Safari Live is for you, and we couldn't do it without you. I always say that, folks. It's the most incredible thing. Just to give you a sensory update, I'm sitting under a lot of stars at the moment. There's a golden glow overside there, beautiful blue hue. We've been with lions, we've been with elephant, and it doesn't get much better than this. So folks, from VM and I, from everyone on board today, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Really thank you for watching, and we'll see you just now. You never know what's around the next corner.